So what we have discussed in the last session, okay, and the pending thing last one is SQL profiler and database tuning advisory. So what exactly this SQL Server profiler? So this profiler, why we are using? So if you want to track, okay, if you want to upload this, can you please put in right? So what are the procedures and what are the queries are running under some particular database? Okay, so you can find it through SQL profiler. If you are running this SQL profiler, this is a kind of tracing. If you want to trace out what are the processes, what are the queries, what are the stored procedures are running under particular database, so you can run this SQL profiler. Right? So in what kind of scenarios we are using? For example, if you have some .NET application or Java application, right? So in that particular applications, you are calling some stored procedures or queries against some databases, right? So sometimes that application will getting very down because some procedures are queries will take too much time to retrieve the data. Got it? So whenever you are browsing that particular application, it is trying to fetch the data from a database. So in that scenario, sometimes it will take too much time, right? So if you want to trace out, so what procedures and what queries are running under this particular database and why this application is getting very slow down. Okay, so in that situation, so you can now you can find out. So you have to use SQL Server Profiler. And you have to connect to that one, and you can save this tracing. Okay, so I'm going to save this trace like uh, emp trace or adventure work trace. Okay, and that use the template is tuning type, and I'm going to save this on desktop. Okay, right. If you're coming to the event selections, so these are the events here we are going to trace out the events, like if there is any stored procedure, if there is any tsql. Okay, and these are the columns we are going to show here, how much time it is taking, what is the stored procedure id, and what is the database name, what is the object name, which user is running that particular database, right? So and which database you are going to filter, adventure works, right? So I have this adventure work database, I want to run against this database. Control C. So database name like this one, right? Yes, if you just run this one, so nothing is running because we were not running anything here, right? So if I'm going to write down one query in this particular database, I want to run that query. Select star from product, or you can write down production also. No, nothing is there. Or I can write down product table. Okay, see if you observe here, that select star from product table, right? It is coming. Got it? Right. So this way you can trace out what are the procedures, what are the queries is running. So if you want to create a procedure, you can create the procedure also. Create procedure P as begin, finally end of this one. Okay, so execute it. Right? See, create procedure P as that is executed. If I want to see the result, execute the procedure name P. If you are executing this one, see, execute P, right? So this way you can find out what are the queries are running under this particular database, right? So I'm going to stop this tracing and I'm going to close this one. So what can I do? So I want to use another tool, database engine tuning advisory. So this tuning advisory, what it will do? So it will take all the trace information and it will do some analysis on that particular trace, whatever the data, whatever the trace you have fetched. It will do some operation, got it, and it will do some analysis. After the analysis, it will recommend, it will give some recommendations to you. So what kind of things, if you are applying on that particular queries or the particular tables or a particular database, then it will improve the performance of the queries and tables. Okay, right? So that recommendations is nothing but index recommendations. If you are missing any indexes on a particular table, it will recommend that indexes. So that create structure also, index create structure also, it will give you no need to create that. Okay, if you are then you have to connect this one. Okay, and so where is the trace file, right? Your trace you are saved in some file. If you are saved in the table, you can take that table name here, but I have saved in the file, right? So what is that file name? Adventure work trace. Open, and on which database you are going to do this tracing? So an adventure works. So if you want to do on all these tables, you can do. If you want to do only on a particular table, right, I'm going to do this on product table. Okay, so if you are starting this analysis, okay, it will do the analysis. If there is any recommendations like indexes or partitions it is required, then it will give that create structure of indexes and partitions. Okay, right, it is doing that analysis. It is under process only. Right, so there is no recommendations are coming. If there is any recommendations are coming, so it will show that recommendation here, one row it is coming here. So after that recommendations is coming, okay, after the recommendations is coming, so you just go to this actions and apply recommendations. Okay, just apply recommendations. Okay, if you are applying these recommendations, then it will apply that whatever the recommendations in. If it is a indexed recommendations, if there is any indexes required on that particular table, it will create automatically that indexes. If there is a partitions required, then it will create the partitions. Okay, by using this database tuning advisor, you can improve the performance of SQL server query or tables. Okay, so these are the things, and this is about the SQL server, right? So guys, what we have covered, till now in SQL server, what is the total syllabus we have covered is, so these are the topics we have covered. Control C. So installation of SQL server we have covered, right? So and what are the data types, different data types we have. okay, and what are the DML and DDL statements in SQL Server, okay, and in the keywords where in top distinct union all group by order by, okay, all these things we are covered. And what are some of the aggregate functions? Count, sum of, max, minimum, right? And some of the string functions. In the string functions, the most important things are char index, okay, character index, and substring, trim, trim left, right. These are all the major functions. And if you are coming to the date functions, date add, date diff, so these kind of functions are something important. And the questions they will ask like what how you can find out the month end date, and how you can find out the month start date, okay, and what are the different constraints here. Null constraint, check constraint, default constraint, primary key, foreign key, unique key. What is the difference between primary key, foreign key, okay? And if you are coming to the joins, okay, and inner join, left join, right outer join, full join, cross join, self join, all these kind of joins, okay. And if you are coming to the subqueries, what are the different correlated, non-correlated subqueries, and what are the analytical functions we have? Row number, rank, density rank, okay. And these are the derived tables, temp tables, table variables. So what are the different types of derived table? What is the difference between derived table, temp table, table variables, right? So these are the major things. And whatever the common table expression, what is the stored procedure, what is how you are doing error handling in a stored procedure, what are the functions, and what kind of triggers we have, and what kind of user defined functions we have. Scalar value function, and inline single value function, table value multiple statement function. And in the triggers you have two type of triggers: after trigger, instead of trigger, and SQL profiler, database tuning advisory, and views also we have, okay. So these are the major and most of the SQL server as a BA developer, okay. So you have to prepare, and you have to uh, uh, do some research on these topics, okay, so you can get more knowledge. I will share some interview questions on all these things, okay. Yes, please prepare those things, okay. Any doubts on up to now SQL server, guys? So this is the last session for this SQL server, so we will jump into next SSIS. If you have any doubts, please let me know. Any doubts, Nitya, Pratishta, Rakesh?
No.
No? Okay. So you guys, did you practicing these things? I'm asking you guys, did you practicing all these things? Okay, right. So what is the SSIS? You guys, any idea? Okay, right. What exactly SSIS? Why we require this SSIS? Okay, so these SSIS related things we will discuss in the tomorrow session. Okay, and so I will tell you something about in this SQL server what kind of questions they will ask. Okay, what you have to prepare. So if you are coming to the installation part, so there is a chance to ask questions, but this installation is not responsible of a BI developer. And in this installation part, they are trying to ask two kind of questions. One is what is default instance? Okay, what is the default instance? And how many times you can install the same software in your single machine? Okay, and if you are coming to the data types, what are the different data types and what is the difference between varchar and nvarchar? What is the difference between datetime and datetime 2? And what are the difference between DML and DDL statements? Okay, and if you observe here the keywords, so why we are using distinct keyword? And what is the difference between union and union all? And what is the difference between in operator and equal operator? And if you are coming to the aggregate functions, what are the different kind of aggregate functions? And in the string functions also. How you are going to use the combination of char index and substring. In the date functions, how you can find out the last date of any month, current month based on a date, and first date of a month of particular date. And what are the constraints, different constraints we have in SQL Server? What is a constraint? And in the joins, what how many types of joins are there, and what is a self join, what is a inner join, and what is the difference between the inner join and left join? And in the subqueries, what is correlated subquery and what is non-correlated subquery? And how we can find out the nth highest salary by using correlated subquery. And what is an analytical functions? What are the analytical functions? Row number, rank function, density rank. So what is the difference between rank and density rank? And by using the row number function, how we can find out the duplicate values? And what is the derived table, temp table, and table variable differences? What is the common table expression? And what is a stored procedure? And what is the error handling? So how you can execute a stored procedure with output variable? And what are the functions we have? Scalar value function, inline function, table value function, and what is the syntaxes? And what is a trigger? What kind of triggers we have? And what is the difference between stored procedure, functions, and triggers? Alright, and how you can improve the query performance by using SQL profiler and database tuning advisory, and what are the views we have. Okay, so these are the things we have in SQL server form. These kind of questions they will ask, there is a chance to ask. Right, So today I'm going to close this session now. Okay, so from tomorrow onwards we will start SSIS, SQL Server Integration Services. So please review all these topics today. Okay, so try to find out some questions, interview questions like that, and try to answer yourself. Okay, please be prepared. Okay, I'm going to close the session. Okay guys, thank you, thanks for the joining.